If you are single mom and you are educated and you don't have your shelter, it's better to die than to live. Or you stay with your ex-husband who is violent, or you go to your family where maybe they accept you, maybe not. It's very, very difficult. Being single mom in Kosovo is not an easy, because you don't have a support from government. It's a little support that only single moms, single parents get from social welfare. It's around 70 euros per month for children under 5 years old. So you have to be extreme poor in order to get support. In other cases, you don't get any support for single parents and single moms. Probably most of women that live under domestic violence, they don't have courage to divorce, because they know that they don't get any support and their life will become even worse. So I think that our society is not so healthy because of the system. So in normal cases, like in Scandinavian countries, it's much easier to decide because of the system, the protection by the government. I was divorced 16 years ago. Luckily, I was working for one international organization, and maybe in that moment, because I also experienced violent domestic violence, I didn't think too long. Luckily, I had my own apartment and my job. So for me, the decision was not easy, but in other hand, it was easy because I had my house and my job. In our society, we always have some bigger issues, such as a dialogue with Belgrade. Everything is priority, but not human rights. To mention single parents, single mothers, in society is still something that they call luxury, based on my experience. I have very bad experience, but it happened 2004. When I went to the court, when I went to social welfare center to report my case to the police, I was offended, saying, you deserve this life, you deserve to be for domestic violence. I don't want to mention details. So I think that society should change, and the focus of our government, if I can say, should be that this category should be protected by law. I think we need to have housing for single mothers, especially the single mothers that were gone under the domestic violence. In my case, it took 5 years to decide whether my ex-husband was guilty or not. And the case was dismissed by saying that now this case is very old, so we cannot do anything. So he was released without any punishment. I didn't see any law that specifies single parent as a single parent. It's confusion in the law. So, for example, if today I'm jobless, I don't get any support from my government, any system. So if I'm not supported by family, I will die for food. I don't know how to explain in other hand. If I can say, I was bullied in social welfare center. I was commented that I deserved what happened to me by a social worker. I was never supported for any documents that they can issue, for example, travel authorization or anything. Every time when I was going to the social welfare center, I was very sad all day. I was crying that they didn't support. I was kind of bullied. Usually, the females that get divorced, they leave their children behind, because if they take the children, then they don't have house. And what they do as a solution, they find a way to get married, so they just go away. So this is very traumatic for these women that are kind of obliged to get married so they can find a shelter, leaving behind their children. Most of the cases in villages this happens. And it's not the will of mothers, but it's what I call survivor. I'm convinced that if we have a proper system, these women will never leave their children behind. But it's a solution that is imposed. We, as a society, the organizations that work with human rights, should make a pressure to the governments to have a special law or to increase this amount of money that is given to the single parents, and housing, buildings, housing for single parents, single moms. Otherwise, our society is not healthy if we live under this pressure, under this trauma, and keeping families together only because we know that whatever we do, we will not get support.